watching, and if people were normal, if people were sane, you know, who goes out and just shoots up a random church? Who goes out and shoots up a movie theater? I mean, who thinks like this? Obviously not normal people living in everyday America. So,
and I think what we have to do, and this is something that we did. We were watching this very carefully throughout Sunday. We were listening to the live response coverage on Sunday in Wisconsin. I've got family out there in that general area. In fact, they happen to be in this area now.
Yeah.
But look, there's something terribly wrong with this.
We even
say that.
As this gun legislation tries to get passed, as the UN Small Arms Treaty was trying to get pushed through, as the political agenda didn't get enough push when the movie theater shooting happened to ban guns, you were going to see more shootings because it didn't work the first time. And it doesn't look like it's going to work this time either.
I don't know.
So are we going to see more shootings? Probably. I mean, I read this article today. There was an article here about the Cybersecurity Act not getting passed through Senate.
Right.
So Obama's thinking of weighing an executive order option, basically saying because the Senate and the House, you know, they didn't pass the legislation so it could be on his desk to sign it, he's just going to create it and pass it anyway. I can see this happening with gun control very shortly. And if it doesn't, expect more shootings.
Well, look, here's a couple of things, okay? We have received all sorts of emails throughout this, throughout Sunday, and last night, and the Monday, and today, about this shooting. There's something wrong with this. Right from the start, there's something wrong with this. Okay, now
we have audio clips of people saying there were 4 people, 4 shooters, 2 shooters, 3 shooters, 1 shooter. And like you pointed out, a lot of the speculation and the hearsay, as it is hearsay, came from calls from inside, people saying there was 3 gunmen.
Yeah, you got
none of the witnesses on the YouTube videos that I found and sent to him for, you know, to look over, that I even uploaded to here, that we're going to listen to a few of them, came from people who were sitting there. I mean, I haven't heard from any witnesses who were sitting in the church and actually saw what happened.
No, and here's why.
Is it because it's a hate crime and it's federalized and it's sealed? And
here's a big difference.
Yeah, well, there's a problem there.
In Colorado, the reason we had as much information leak out about Colorado as soon as it did is because it was a law enforcement, as it should be, a state law enforcement or a county law enforcement matter. Murder is not a federal crime. There are exceptions, of course, is kidnapping and murder and mitigating circumstances with respect to that, and designated hate crimes, and, of course, domestic terrorism. Then it falls under the jurisdiction of the federal government. However, the federal government classified this as domestic terrorism before they even knew, or with any they had the idea, but they weren't certain of the identity of the individual, the shooter. Okay, but they classified this as domestic terrorism. They heard Sikh temple, white male, bang. Okay, so right away that puts the lid on Napolitano, according to my DHS source, and an insider source said, look, they put the lid on this right away for one reason, that's to control the flow of information. And by the way, folks, I was remiss, if you want to call in, because this is a listener-driven show, call in at 661-244-9839. That's 661-244-9839. You can listen that way, or I believe, is there an option? I never did figure this out. Is there an option if you want to talk to the host to press a button?
I'm not sure. I think if you hit 1, you could speak to the host. We already have some callers here.
Yeah, we've got a bank of callers.
We'll start taking your calls in a minute.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah. Look, this stinks to high heaven. The timing, the perpetrator, and all this.
What we're going to do here is I'm going to play a couple clips of these second, third, and here's an interesting fact. The son of the preacher who was killed, what is his name? Arma. I don't know.
I can't remember.
His dad, or he was doing a film with this Dr. Greer, a guest on Coast to Coast, an old astronaut who was working on free energy technology and also some UFO disclosure stuff.
Right.
But what really interested me is the Nikola Tesla work and the free technology, free energy that they were working on, and they were putting it's called Sirius, the documentary, SIRUS.
Right.
And this guy's dad was killed in the shooting, and this kid is the one who's making the documentary with this Dr. Greer.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I sent Tom Danheiser some information. Coast to Coast guest Dr. Stephen Greer, and Amar Deep Kalika, the son of the Sikh temple president, who subsequently was shot and subsequently died. They have an upcoming film about energy, free energy disclosure, and so on. And I told Tom Danheiser, I said that, and according to Dr. Greer's Twitter feed, in fact, it was the father of the man making the film with Dr. Stephen Greer as one of the victims. So and Joe found that through research on his own. So, I mean, you know, independent research. So I thought that was rather interesting.
Yeah, and then what we're going to listen to on the first clip is the son of the priest.
Right.
And the man that you just talked about doing the documentary. Here is the audio for that.
The thing about this temple specifically is our family is, like all the close knit families that came together in about the 80s to Milwaukee started this as a form of like having a South Side presence and being able to gather all the blue-collar Indian workers together into one temple. So my dad is the president of this, and he's been the president ever since it's opened, and he's the political arm, and the priest, I mean, it was scary because the priest picked up his phone and called me, and the priest started speaking in like full Punjabi and saying your dad is shot on the ground and no, he can't talk right now and nobody's getting into him. So they were really worried.
What else did he tell you? Did he describe anything else that was going on at that moment?
At that time, he did say that there are multiple shooters and that they are Caucasian descent.
Interesting. Multiple shooters, Caucasian descent.
Right.
That was from the other priest, he said, who was looking over.
Yeah, you have to understand, these are secondhand reports. The person talking, giving the interview, was on the phone with one of the people inside the temple. So
that's the pastor's son saying that the information he received was multiple shooters. We're going to go to another clip here from another person who received a call. 2 minutes.
Okay, folks, 2 minutes on this one. Listen carefully to this one.
All right.
We have our temple service every Sunday. Starts around 10:30. And usually goes in the afternoon, and around between 10 and 10:30, four white males who were dressed darkly, dressed in all black clothing, came in and opened fire on our congregation. And from what I'm told, about 20 to 25 people have been hit. And
what happened there?
I don't know. You guys still with us? Can you guys still hear us?
Looks like we might have
I don't know if we froze up. All right, we're still good.
Okay, good. Well,
the audio just cut out for some reason, and
are we talking over the audio? Can you hear us, or can you hear the audio, or is it just us? All right, let's take a look here. All right, well, it looks like everything's fine. Let's give this a try. Hang on a second. Yeah, okay. Let's give this another try here from this.
The audio's playing still, it says on here.
Okay, why don't you cut that, and then this one here, or which one?
Eyewitness Temple 4 shooters.
Okay, folks, yeah, now this is, again, an early account of the shooting, and of the 20 or so accounts that we listened to, these two that we're playing for you are perhaps the most important ones that we found and the most credible ones. So take a listen to this.
We have our temple service every Sunday. Starts around 10:30, and usually goes in the afternoon. And around between 10 and 10:30, four white males who were dressed darkly, dressed in all black clothing, came in and opened fire on our congregation. And from what I'm told, about 20 to 25 people have been hit. And
for whatever reason,
for whatever reason, we're not getting that through. So, but did you notice the four males darkly dressed, and that flies in the face of what really happened?
They ignored and I have a Fox News article that the Fox News anchor says there were possibly 2 shooters. Now, this was at the very beginning stages of this happening. But what this also about this shooter, this guy's name is
whatever, but it doesn't matter.
No, here I want it. Wade Michael Page, a 40-year-old who has been identified as some kind of neo-Nazi who's also worked in the psychological unit in the Army.
There you go.
And this is the connection to the Colorado case where the guy was a neuroscientist or studying to be a neuroscientist and in college receiving grants for such.
Not necessarily a connection, the parallels.
Well, and the, yeah, but the psychological aspect of it, the people claiming, you know, mind control, why are these people always connected to people who are connected to mind control or psychological operations? I mean, is it that much of a coincidence, or is it just happen that way, that, you know, maybe these people are more likely to go crazy? I mean, what is the answer, really? We don't even know.
Well, you know, there's talk, and folks, remember the hum, people hearing that hum in the Midwest. Look, I've gotten, and I don't know about this kind of stuff. I just don't know. I mean, we're not, you know, we're investigators, but we're not scientists. We don't understand, you know, this kind of stuff. But the activation of very low frequency audio waves, okay, is there something to that? That hum in the Midwest that people are complaining about, that you know, is just audible.
Yeah.
Does this have anything to do with it? Okay, I don't know. We've been getting emails from people saying, look, there's some sort of activation of a very low frequency that is causing some issues. Now, again, I don't know, but that's just for your information. And but aside from the shooting, we've got a number of other things to talk about tonight, but just so you know.
Yeah, well, what we have here is the perfect narrative for Janet Napolitano and the Department of Homeland Security, veteran, you know, right-wing terrorists, whatever they call them. And the same thing they claimed at the beginning of the Colorado shooting, that he was part of the Tea Party, and now they're going after the same angle again, politicizing this, going after the guns. I mean, talk of going after the guns again. And, you know, one of the comments I read, I think on the Blaze, was, why is it that, and they put it in political lines, so I'm just repeating this comment. The guy worded it similarly to this. Why is it that conservatives feel bad for this, and why is it that liberals see an opportunity in this? And, you know, the chaos that these people create, because they, I mean, it's not just they don't create, they manipulate the chaos after it happens. Well, and what they're doing is they are, you know, toying with souls of people on a daily basis, and this is for the whole of government, across wherever we are, wherever our bases are, wherever we have influence. And especially here in America with the media manipulation that's going on, I mean, we are just being completely attacked on every level possible, chemically, physically, mentally, it's not going to get any better. I know some people don't like the Book of Enoch or have their reservations about it, but I was going through the Book of Enoch and I just came across a part that talks about the end times, and this, you know, put it into the good context. It says, and in those days, behold, I have shown thee everything, Enoch, I have revealed everything to thee that shouldest see this, the sun, the moon, and the leaders of the stars in the heaven, and those who turn them, their tasks, their times, and departures. Now, before this part in the Book of Enoch, it describes how the moon and the sun go around the earth, and it describes the days and how everything works, like dew, the rain, the mist. It's very interesting if you ever read it. But it says, and the days of the sinners, the years shall be shortened, and their seed shall be tardy on their lands and fields. All things on the earth shall alter, and not appear in their time. And the rain shall be kept back, and the heaven shall withhold it. And in those times the fruits of the earth shall be backward, and shall not grow in their time. And the fruits of the tree shall be withheld in their time. And upon the moon shall alter her order, and appear not in her time. And in those days the sun shall be seen, and shall journey in the evening on the extremity of the great chariot in the west. And it goes on to talk about how the stars will alter their orbits as they are not going through the order that is prescribed, how the seasons will alter. And
things are just going to be messed up, entirely messed up everywhere.
Correct. And I just found that interesting. And there's a lot more about the Book of Enoch and the Book of Revelations that have close similarities that we can go into, but I just thought that was interesting.
Well, you know, we've got all this anecdotal evidence, but the bottom line here is what do we know? Well, we know the identity of the perpetrator, the alleged perpetrator. We know that we know a lot of things with respect to the shooting itself, but here's what's important. We have to look at the response by this administration, the response by both parties, It's a bipartisan globalist agenda that we're looking at. We have to look at how the media is handling this, how they're, what they're accentuating, and look at what's happening outside of this sphere of this, this captivation of the shooting. So, yes, we've got to keep our eye on the shooting, but we also have to watch what else is going on. But this is, we believe that this is instrumental in terms of, an attack, a full frontal attack on the Second Amendment, just like Fast and Furious was. There's a reason Obama, there's a reason Napolitano, there's a reason the feds clamped down on this as quickly as they did. That was to control the level of information. I was interviewed by Cher Ziev, and that interview, I believe, is up at CanadaFreePress.com. There's some new information from my DHS source, and there's some, I think, a quote or two from my DHS source that's at CanadaFreePress.com. And now, having said that, like I said, there's an entire vast array of other information out there that we need to cover. But before we do, we're going to take a very quick break, and then we're going to come back with your phone calls at 661-244-9839. That's 661-244-9839. We're going to be back in about 2 minutes, folks. Stay right where you're at. Hi folks, Doug Hagmann here. You might know me as the co-host from the Hagmann and Hagmann Report, or as a frequent guest on Coast to Coast AM with George Norrie. If you're like me, you're tired and confused over today's headlines. You just don't know where to turn for accurate, concise information about really what's going on, what's truly going on in today's society. If you don't know where to turn for accurate, well-researched, and properly vetted news, I've got a suggestion. In fact, it's a requirement. Bookmark Canada Free Press. That's CanadaFreePress.com on the internet. It's just not for Canada. It's for news across the world. Judy McLeod, founding editor, has put together a vast array of talented writers like Kelly O'Connell, Daniel Greenfield, Dr. Eileen Johnson-Powell, a lot of guest columnists, very talented writers. Folks, that's Canada Free Press at CanadaFreePress.com. Now mobile friendly. Follow on Facebook, because without America, there is no free world.
Survival of the fittest. In any and all situations, survival is your #1 priority. That requires being tough and thinking smart. And the folks at Freeze Dry Guy are going to help you do just that. They have the long-range patrol ration entrees, what they call the Brick Pack. When you're in survival mode, it is absolutely the best item for your survival pack or bug-out bag. You can go farther, faster, and carry more food with the LRP cold weather ration entrees. Not only do these long-lasting, durable entrees help sustain you or your family through the harshest environment or situation, they are by far the most delicious of their kind. No contest. With a variety of tasty entrees, you can't beat the LRP Brick Packs. Let Freeze Dry Guy help you in your survival situations. Go to freezedryguy.com. That's freezedryguy.com, or call 866-404-3663. That's 866-404-FOOD.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We just took a short break there. We had our studio phone ringer on, and that needed to be shut off as we were getting a call.
Kill it! Yeah, we had to do that. And although I do, that was kind of
and my father's unpreparedness, he had to grab his notes from the other side of the room, which is hard to do when you're on video. A luxury that we kind of took advantage of being on radio. When we started doing the video again, it's amazing how many different things you have to, when you're not on video, you can have stuff all over the place, have your legs up and kind of a messy order thing.
Not wearing any pants,
But not when you're doing video. It's a whole different situation. But thank you for hanging with us.
Yeah, plus what we're trying to do is we're trying to establish a pretty regulated format for the show. The news and the news headlines in the first 20 minutes and then go from there. But anyway.
I'm going to hit this article, part of this article, and then we're going to take the calls. Department of Justice will work background checks for guns until Congress passes gun laws. President Obama's spokesman blamed Congress for the lack of stronger gun control legislation and promised that the Justice Department would improve background checks to enhance security. The president's approach is that we should work with Congress when possible and administratively when allowed. White House Press Secretary Jay Carney told reporters, when asked about strengthening gun control laws must be laws that must respect the Second Amendment rights, he said. Well, I got a problem with that statement because it says the Second Amendment shall not be infringed, if I'm not correct, well, if I'm not mistaken. And
yeah, there's a lot of shells in,
Yeah, I mean,
There's no ambiguity to the Second Amendment.
And it goes on. It says, Obama does support renewing the assault weapons ban, Carney said in the wake of the shooting at the Sikh temple in Wisconsin yesterday. There has been a reluctance by Congress to pass that renewal. Carney's call for Congress to pass gun control legislation was muted. If such legislation emerges, the president will evaluate it. The White House will evaluate it, guided by the principle I talked about earlier, which was the laws will respect the Second Amendment rights, which is an ironic statement. He can't really say that. Double talk.
Well, yeah, that's exactly right.
Carney ended by saying there's a lot of legislation that the president has a position on. He reiterated that we all recognize the situation in Congress with respect to that renewal. In the meantime, Carney said the Justice Department will enhance security by making it harder for those who should not have these weapons to obtain them through improved background checks. Now, I got a question.
Stop there. Okay,
who are the people who should not obtain them? And what are you going to be doing to make it harder? Right.
You don't know.
I'm sure violent felons are number one on the list, we'll say. But are veterans going to be on the list, like we said? Are Republicans going to be on the list?
But even forget about that. Look, and my military, the guy from the military that I talked to a lot, he said, here's the simplest way for gun control. You take away the ability to conduct the background investigations for gun control. Now, that won't stop private sales of guns. Okay, that will just stop the public sale of guns. It'll stop the instant background checks. Once you do that, then you can reformulate that to anything anything that they want.
Yeah, and I see here on Drudge, I don't know why they have this up here. Handgun. This is a headline. Handgun legally purchased. Like there's something wrong with a legally purchased handgun.
Yeah,
there's something wrong with a legally purchased handgun being used in a crime, but the problem with that is the crime, not the legal purchase.
That's right.
You could use a car in a crime, and is the legal purchase of that car going to be in question after you hit somebody? No.
No, of course not.
Let's go to the phone.
All right. We're going to go to area code 856. Caller from the 856 area code. You're on with Doug and Joe.
Hi, Doug. Joe, it's Sheila.
Hi, Sheila.
Hi. I got to ask you a question. Have you ever heard of Bernadine Smith?
Bernadine Smith?
Bernadine.
No.
Okay, well, she's a researcher, and I saw a video of her Friday with Alex+Jones, and she spent the last 35 years researching the Second Amendment right and our military and our police officers. And I went on her website, and it's called libertygunrights.com, and I was on there for 2 hours reading her research, and she went all the way back into the 30s. She's got all the executive orders from presidents and whatnot. I mean, all the information is there, and everything that she said fits in with everything that we're seeing, and it's not pretty.
Give us an example. Give us an example of one of the facts or one of the things that you think is important that we should know.
Well, number one, our military has been turned over to the UN, and she said that was totally illegal, that the American people has to approve of that. They have federalized our police officers, or they're in the process of federalizing all of our police officers. This is why we're seeing what's going on. And she's also saying they're not being told why they're being on all this training. And if I remember right, you've had people on the program that said they hear from cops and whatnot, and they're getting all this training, and they really don't understand why. They're not being clear with them what's going on until something does happen.
Yeah.
But it all ties together, and I just punched up turning the military over to the UN, and she explains everything they're doing. They are going to spread our military all over the world.
Right. Yeah, they've already done that.
Yeah.
They're already in the midst of it, and they're not even telling them. They think that they're fighting for the freedom of this country, and they're not.
No, that's right.
They're not.
Henry Kissinger said that military men are dumb, stupid animals to be used as pawns in foreign policy. They know exactly what they're doing with the troops, and it's sad.
Yeah. Yeah.
Here's the thing. The American people everybody that's listening to your program, they've got to know people that's got, no military, they've got military in their families and whatnot. The word needs to get out there, because what they're doing is illegal. It's dead wrong. And I'm sure if it gets out to our military, and I just can't imagine them not having some kind of an idea of what's going on. I mean, they got to know something's wrong here. And they're going to be tied in with the Secret Service at the Democratic and Republican conventions. They're going to be working directly with the Secret Service. And just from the articles that I've read just in the last 3 days, I mean, they're talking IEDs now, the American people come up with, our military coming back from, Afghanistan and Iraq. You can see where they're going.
Well, okay, Sheila, did you happen to see, and folks, listeners, and viewers, whatever, did you happen to see the footage from Wisconsin? There were two MRAPs. They're military armored military.
Those big half tank, half Hummer
army personnel carriers.
Yeah.
Okay. They're built to withstand 500-pound blasts. Okay. In fact, I've got a photograph sent by one of our listeners. Tom sent one in, and there were two of the very same vehicles in Wisconsin. These are dispatched all over the United States right now, and they're militarized. The police departments are being militarized with these vehicles. Okay.
This is why Homeland Security is sending all this kind of equipment that shooter had on, that killed all these people in the movie theater. This is the kind of stuff Homeland Security is doing it. They are setting the American people up.
Yes.
When they go through the streets with their tanks, and that's what them things look like, a truck tank or some sort, it's intimidation. And I think they're preparing the American people to take the guns.
Yeah,
period.
It's the ultimate objective. They can't accomplish their goals without disarming America. And look, it's not going to go very well. We know that. But certainly they can't,
Well, Doug, here's the thing. I keep thinking about these two conventions coming up. And if our military can get wind of what's coming, they're going to turn on what they're doing. This is what I'm hoping is going to happen. This is going to lead to a civil war. Alex+Jones, the last thing he asked her was, what do you think is going to come from this? And she referred to our military as our young boys. And she said, I don't believe they're going to turn on the American people. She said, I do believe it's going to lead to a civil war because the American people will not hand over their guns without a fight. She said, but I don't see our military turning on their people. That's what I pray doesn't happen,
Well, why do you think we have the infusion of the foreign troops? And people say, oh, there are no foreign troops. Show me pictures of the foreign troops in this country. But there are foreign troops here. Why do you think there are foreign troops here trading with our troops? Because Americans won't do it, but the other foreign troops might. They probably will.
From what I read on that particular site that I just punched up, turning the military over to the UN, and it talked about our troops being with Russia and China.
Yes, they already are. I mean,
here they were. We don't have any Chinese here, do we? Military?
There are specialists. Actually, we've got Chinese scientists, and we also have some special Chinese troops. But when I say Chinese troops, I'm thinking.
No, there's reports of stationed Chinese troops at different military bases across the country, but
not to the extent of the Russians.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that, but we have, I don't think the military has already turned on the American people. When you look at what they did in Katrina, taking people's guns, they'll do it at a large scale. I believe some won't, but I believe a lot of them will. And I don't have the same faith in the military, as some do. Like I said, not all of them are bad. It might be half and half, but they've conditioned these people these people are so far gone. Look at the American citizens, and even the military, some of the military people, they're mentally so far lobotomized, they can't even think, they don't even understand how to think. And they live in their own little reality, and what really is going to happen is when they get the order, it'll be a hard order to follow and carry out, but they'll do it because they know if they don't, they'll be on the other side of that. And that simple choice or the hard choice that they'll have to make is one of a convenience for them, and they'll, you know, in my opinion, most of them, unless they have an opportunity to get away, they'll be following the crowd, just like everything else we see with the way things are going.
Well, you know what, Alex said to her when she answered his question, he said to her, well, we're seeing our military training right now with the Secret Service and our police departments and whatnot. They're parading in the streets, and what about that? And she says, our soldiers really ain't aware of what's coming.
No, well,
that's what she believes.
Right, the rank and file of our military is a little bit, to me, I believe, is, you know, everything's compartmentalized. The hierarchy knows, but the rank and file don't necessarily know. Sheila, anything else before we cut you loose?
No, all I know is we need to pray for our country at this point, because they are setting us up, is what they're doing.
They are?
Homeland Security is not Homeland Security. That's just the name they're using right now. She called it their international management. I even went online to try to find out what exactly that meant. But it's something to do with international management. She said the only reason they're using Homeland Security is because it's comforting to the people. Yeah,
well,
we're seeing how they are.
It might have been comforting back on, you know, September 12th or in 2002, but it's hardly comforting today when we see what's happening. Sure, a lot of good points. I want to thank you for your call. We got to move on. God bless you. God bless you, Sheila. You know, it's true. No, it's true that we've got these things going on. And yeah, one of the things. Go ahead if you have something to say.
Yeah, before we take another call here, I wanted to talk about this article real quick. I want to get into as much news here as we can while we continue to talk about the shooting and a few other things. But this caught my eye. I sent this to you Friday night, I think, or Saturday.
And I got a problem with this.
Obama campaign sues Ohio over early voting fraud, over early voting law for military. And the first headline that came out wasn't about Ohio. It just said Obama sues over trying to stop the military from voting.
Yeah, it's not about that. Look,
in a move that puts a new meaning to the term battleground, President Obama's re-election campaign and members of some military groups are on a collision course over voting rights in the critical state of Ohio. Now, this comes from Fox News. The Obama campaign and the Democratic National Committee have filed a lawsuit to block a new state law allowing men and women in uniform to vote up until the Monday right before an election, while the cutoff on early voting for the rest of the public is 3 days earlier.
Right.
And if you've ever gotten an absentee ballot, you see on there they have a section for the military people.
Right.
It says if you're military, you know, instructions.
And Fox News, including Fox News, the mainstream is really screwing the American people with these headlines. The problem is the distinction between military and non-military advanced voting, period, okay? They're making this out as a political football. It shouldn't be. Both sides are. Both sides are.
And we see it with the guns. We see it with all of our freedoms. The right has become the moderate left, and the left has gone off the cliff.
That's right.
And part of the right has gone off the cliff. There's only a few individual people, probably the kind of people that are listeners to our show, who understand what's really going on in America and understand that there are allegiances much bigger than political parties. And there are, unfortunately, still most of the population of the United States is stuck in the political party. You know, you try to talk to them about if you know what I'm talking about, the hardcore Democrats or Republicans. All they talk about is the headlines on Fox News or MSNBC or Mitt Romney or Barack Obama as being the answer.
They're stuck in that paradigm.
Right. And it is sad to see, and even when you try to explain it to them and talk to people about it, they still don't understand what you're saying to them. It's like you're talking in a foreign language. And it's because, as I said earlier, they've been so lobotomized by TV, by relying on other people to do their work. The federal government has gone so far out of its way to destroy the education system, make people dependent for news, information, for food, for everything, that people are like basically robots. They are zombified robots, but have all the parts of a human being. And it is just, I mean, we are not perfect. We have sinned in our life. We probably sin every day. But we're talking, you know, minor sins, and I know no sin is really minor. But when you see what these globalists are doing, I mean, how can these people? How can these people? You know, I think about, you know, when you die in Judgment Day, and what you know, what's going to be looked upon as the worst of your worst and the best of your best, and these people, their fruits that they bring are rotten. I mean, how are they going to withstand the judgment, as it says in the Bible? How can they even sleep at night is what I don't understand. These people who are manipulating things to the point where people are getting murdered, people are getting executed. I mean, thousands, hundreds of thousands of people on the earth. People are starving by the hundreds of thousands every year. I mean, it's so bad.
But let's bring it back to the United States here for a moment. I want to quote somebody. I guess I bring it back to the United States by quoting an international or German philosopher back in 1939, who stated, "Unhappy German nation." Now, this is a quote attributed to German author and social commenter Thomas Mann in 1939. "Unhappy German nation, how do you like the messianic role allotted to you, not by God and not by destiny, but by a handful of perverted and bloody-minded men?" And that was German novelist Thomas Mann. He had anticipated and warned against the rise of fascism during the Weimar Republic. And, you know, like Mann, we are contemporarily, and I'm not going to equate myself to Thomas Mann or equate you to Thomas Mann. Certainly he's heads and shoulders and 20, millions of feet above us. But look, many contemporary watchmen today are warning about America becoming a battlefield under this messianic role of Barack Obama. And by the perverted and bloody-minded men and women who are turning, who are trampling our rights, and they're turning our national security apparatus against anyone daring to embrace or promote freedoms under this Constitution, under the Constitution of the United States. And we've seen this since the inception of the Patriot Act, and even before, to some extent, and much after. We saw it in 2005 when Bush said, "Hey, the Constitution is nothing but a blankety-blank piece of paper." Okay, that type of, and then in 2000, 5 years before that, when he said it'd be easier if I was a dictator. Well, now that's come to pass, and I'm going to be posting on HomelandSecurityUS.com. That's HomelandSecurityUS.com. An image, a photograph sent to me by a man in Wausau, Wisconsin, population 39,000. A listener. His name is Tom. He took a photograph of one of these military vehicles that responded to a crime scene. Maybe posting that tonight, right after the show. I got to tell you.
And did you see, I couldn't confirm that the picture was taken today, but there was a picture this morning outside of Youngstown with tanks on the train.
Yeah, now, I've got that photograph.
I couldn't confirm that.
We're looking at, that may not be what it appears to be, but we're going to subject that to some scrutiny. But look, there's preparation for something, and the enemy has been redefined. It's been redefined. If you're listening to this program, chances are you're the enemy.
Yeah, well, we know that. We knew that.
That's right.
Been around for, good 5 years now, but they've really been setting the government reports out, listing you as enemies, setting the FBI's list of weird behaviors for, to consider as terrorism, such as taking notes or using a camera. But we're going to go back to the phones here. We got some more callers on the line. 337 area code. You're on the air with the Hagmann and Hagmann Report.
Hello, Doug and Joe. This is Walter in Louisiana.
Hi, Walter.
Hey.
Yeah, I've called into you before sometimes, and I called in one time before. I'm a good friend of Steve Quayle's, and he tells.
You're a good friend of ours, then. Okay.
And he tells about. In fact, I've been listening to him for years, and he's been telling about the foreign troops being in this country.
Right.
Well, I've got a video that someone got to me called Cooperative Nugget 95, and it shows about what happened in the summer of 1995, how they training all the former communist country troops at Fort Polk, Louisiana, Lithuania, Romania, Latvia, and they had the General Sheehan, who was the head of Atlantic Command. He says the purpose for this training is for the new soldier, for the New World Order.
Wow. That was back in 95.
They've been doing, and they still train people up there. They have role players from the area, Louisiana. That's how they get a job. And they give them role players. I think it might still be on, it might still be on the YouTube. Okay. But if it isn't, I've got the copy of it.
Okay, Cooperative Nugget 95 is the name of the film, the video.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And what you see, what they do, they have a small village up there where they have you know, they look like a small town or something, and they train these foreign troops to recognize UN command. They have this guy with a baseball cap on. He has an armband that has UN police on it. Well, back then they didn't, you know, or United American Police. We didn't have police then, national police. That's
right.
What it is. Then national police. Well, anyhow, they show them. They come up to the door. They bang on the door. They got a role player in there. He bangs on the door and he says, "We are the UN. We have permission to come into your home." And the guy, and he says, "Go away. I'm watching a game." They bust the door down. They go in there, and they have the man put his hands over his head. They go through all the drawers, and they throw clothes all over the place and everything. And then there may be somebody hiding in the closet, and they take him outside, and then they do all kinds of things. So this has been going on for a long time.
Well, yeah, no doubt, and I know Steve has been championing this information for quite a long time. He's been on the tip of the spear with this, and you know, we know this has been going on, and it's hard for people to understand this. And even active military, a lot of active military don't know this is going on. Well, why don't they know what's going on? Well, it's compartmentalized.
Well, if a person, this video is 2 hours long.
Right.
It's a composite of what went on in the summer of '95, and then there's other videos. There's other stuff that's been going on in DeSoto National Forest in Mississippi, where they've been training in there. They had a guy that went in there with sneaking in there. He used to do that when he was in Vietnam behind enemy lines.
Right.
And in that video, it shows Russian tanks in there hiding in the woods. And it showed a couple of missiles. They were training, you know. They weren't, but you could tell it was a Russian T-34 tank, and they had all kinds of antennas and everything in there. And in that area of Mississippi, it used to be a concentration camp for German prisoners in World War II.
Right. Okay. You know what? It's been a long time, but I saw that video. I know which, or at least maybe some incarnation or part of that video. I remember that. Okay.
But see, people need to see this stuff again to show, especially the one Cooperative Nugget. That'll bring it home, man. When you see that and you see somebody busting in the door and getting people out of there, and then later on in part of the video, it shows them a bunch of people out there in the out in the woods, and they says, "When you going to feed us? You told us you was going to feed us," and you know.
Yeah.
And then they have people going back and forth from a work site, and they're searching them, you know, and they're all foreign troops doing it.
Yeah.
So the foreign troops will do. That's what this has been. This has been in their mind for years. They get all our troops out of the country, and all these exercises working with foreign troops and everything. That's just you know, that's just a sham. That's all that is.
Yeah.
And I know that they think that they're going to you know, help them out and all that. That's a bunch of bull. They want to get all of our troops out of the country, and they're going to probably bring more than foreigners in here because they'll think nothing of busting into an American's home and over, you know, taking them out if they have to.
No, we agree, Walter. We understand. And we know, you know, our military, in some cases, the people that are vetted through years of different battlefield scenarios and real life scenarios, they pick out the insane, crazy ones also. I mean,
that brings us back to the shooter too.
Right.
And
what they do, I mean, I hold, you know, I think it's not just going to be, like you said, it'll be a UN military that will come in, if anything.
It's going to be a mixed force, I believe, but it's going to be predominantly other than Americans. How's that? OTAs. Walter, God bless you.
I want to ask you something. I'd like to support you, but I don't like to go through no credit cards. Is there some way I can mail you a check?
Yeah, you can. Look, boy, thank you in advance. We really, I guess I didn't kill that phone. Thank you in advance for that. What we're going to do, Walter, do you know our email, or do you know our website address? It's homelandsecurityus.com. Do you know that, or
Yeah, I know. I've been on that one.
Okay. I'll post or if you don't mind, just send me an email and just send me an email, dhagman@roadrunner.com. And the reason I say that goes to all my devices. But
okay. Is your email address on there?
Yeah, just click. On any one of the stories where my name is listed, click on my name and bang, an email box.
Okay, yeah, because I think there's a lot of people they don't like to use these credit cards anymore.
I'm right there with you.
Yeah.
No, look, and it's our fault for not putting that up prominently. But thank you.
You would get more support, I think, that way too.
Yeah,
I really do believe it.
Yeah, I've been told that as well. So it's we're doing our best. I'll tell you, it's like we're putting in 18 hours a day, and it's just like wow.
Well, I want to tell you, Doug, you're doing a great job. And what I do, usually the next day I copy your archives. I copy them to CDs, and I get them out and mail them to people.
That's great. That's great.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. And that's the way that that's the way we grow. Well, God bless you, man. We got to cut you loose.
Okay, sure. Right. God bless you all.
God bless you. Check our website after the program. Our address will magically appear on there. Or send me an email. Click on my name and send me an email, and I'll send you the address as well.
Okay, good. Sure enough. Bye-bye.
All right, bye-bye.
Thanks, Walter. All right, we are going to next call. We are going to go to Scott. You're on with the Hagmann Report.
Hey, Doug. Hey, Joe. Hey, Doug, great article today, by the way. Hey, just wanted to be as cogent as possible this evening. We're having these shootings, and, and I listen to Steve Quayle, and I listened to, him for years. And there are a lot of foreign troops, but there's one thing that I just wanted to run by you, and it's a gentleman by the name of Russ Dizdar, who Steve has mentioned, talking about the Black Awakening and how all these super soldiers who have been in labs and brainwashed. And do you all think that this may be some of the same types of things? Go ahead.
Well, personally, okay. Now I've heard.
We know that there are programs that have manipulate minds and make there are chemicals along with advanced military programs. I think predominantly were started by the Nazis, or that's where it made its headlines. Or made the public awareness of the mind control aspect of troops, the vulnerability that people when mixed with certain chemical drugs and whatever other triggers, they can hypnotize people pretty much, and they have the ability to do this. And when they have these triggers are put in front of these hypnotized people, from what I understand, they turn into whatever. I mean, just like the Manchurian Candidate movie, almost. I really believe they have the ability to do this. They have groups out doing this.
And the short answer to that is yes.
Yeah, it's been admitted. Yes. It's been found out. And there's too many links. I mean, you look at the lawyers who the mind control people, like Ted Kaczynski or Timothy McVeigh. The same lawyer worked for Jared Loughner, I think, and they're all interconnected. And you have the same doctors coming to visit them. These people aren't allowed to talk to the public, the criminals, and it's real weird. All these interconnected things.
There's overlap between shooters and events and stuff. But yes, to answer your question, yes, we believe indeed there is. First of all, there is something going on here now where why now? Okay, versus 2 years ago. Well, I think it's people, men coming back from the military from Iraq, Afghanistan. They've got PTSD. They're vulnerable to. They've been involved in psychological warfare, and psychological training, psychological conditioning. You mentioned Black Awakening. I believe that's taking place as well. So all of this, yes, I agree. Yes, boy.
Yeah, well, as Russ points out. And if we can just go to God's word here for a second, there's a restrainer and he's going to restrain, okay. But when he takes off his hand, there's going to be a lot of people out here that have been trained like this that are going to go absolutely berserkerwitz. Okay, and yes, there are troops. And oh, by the way, in the 1963 version of Manchurian Candidate at the end, when the president was being shot at, there was his wife standing next to him was my grandmother, by the way.
In real life?
no, in the movie Manchurian Candidate.
I mean, yeah, that's what I mean. She was playing she was actually the actress.
Yeah, actually, back then, all these actors and actresses, they went down to Burbank, and somebody went out and said, "Hey, anybody got a fur coat?" And my grandmother said, "I got a fur coat," and they said, "Hey, come on in." So she was actually the actress standing next to the president when he was being shot at.
Wow, that's really neat, boy.
Anyway, hey, look, not to keep you all night. Russ Fizdar, he has really written a seminal book, and this is not a plug for Russ or anything like this. I think Steve is actually mentioned Russ, but there are some definite things that Russ has brought up, and Russ has been dealing with satanic rituals for 100 years and with the cops and everything like that. And, I just think that right now what we're seeing is just like the opening medley, and we're in a crescendo, and then perhaps everything that has been spoken about tonight, where, hey, the powers that be are going to say enough is enough, and we're going to come in, and we're going to do what we're going to do. Okay. Anyway, hey, look, guys, thanks for letting me call in, and Doug, like I said, great article today.
Well, thank you, sir. We appreciate your call. Keep listening, and God bless you. And boy, that's a neat little item about your grandmother. Yeah, that's pretty cool. I've got that on DVD. I'll have to watch that. So, again, I'll identify her via the fur coat. Thanks, Scott. Folks, you're listening to the Hagmann and Hagmann Report. Let's go back to. Do we have one more phone call or no?
Yeah, we can take a quick call. Area code 317. You're on live with the Hagmann and Hagmann Report.
Hi, area code 317. You're on with Doug and Joe.
And I don't hear anything. Call, are you there?
Yeah, you called 317.
Yeah, that's you, man. Do you have anything to say? All right, we're going to put you back on. We can't hear you. We're going to put you back on hold.
We'll try you again after the break.
Yeah, in fact, we'll get to you after the top of the hour break because we're up against it right now.
Yeah, we might.
Next hour. Next hour. More on the shooting, but a little bit different.
And also, some very good
news.
news. I talked with Pastor Jay on Saturday morning, and he has a message he wants me to give you guys, and it's a good message. He's okay, and really inspiring, the story he gave me, which I will try to reiterate to you guys after the top of the hour break. So stay with me.
Well, that's good. And also, after the top of the hour break, some issues that we do want to get into is our
the emerging drone culture. The editorial in the Miami Herald where they said, well, drug cartels have the ability to have drones. Also, more on the shooting, the gunman had been on investigators or FBI's radar, says the FBI.
In fact,
India blames White House for a shooting, and much more.
But wait a second. There was reportedly some surveillance being conducted, or a couple of white men casing the temple or the two Sikh temples there, in that general vicinity. And two white men were supposedly casing both temples on the days prior to the shooting. What's that all about? And we've got we got some Iran news, some
also
TSA
some Obama transparency past news. It's all about Colombia, they say.
And this does fit right in with the workings of Pastor Manning and the stuff going on today. Boy, I'll tell you, it all comes right around and fits right together. So just stay tuned. Callers on hold, stay there. We're going to get to you after the top of the hour break. You're listening to Doug and Joe Hagmann, the Hagmann and Hagmann Report, heard live Monday through Friday. Fastest growing station, and thanks to you. Boy, we're humbled to be there.
Yes, we are.
All right, stay with us.
You better wake up fast and listen to this, America. The Obama campaign has launched attack squads disguised as truth teams dedicated to intimidating and silencing all political dissent carried over the internet that criticizes the Marxist Obama. Truth squads specifically focused on covering up Obama's endless trail of lies, corruption, and subversion, and using the Gestapo power of our own government to police and censor the internet and shut down websites that dare to carry the real truth about Obama's Marxist coup. Remember the names of these Gestapo-style agencies that work right there in your neighborhood: KeepingHisWord.com, KeepingGOPHonest.com, and AttackWatch.com. KGB, SS, and Gestapo-style police-state gangster organizations at work to silence the important voices of patriot dissent, some of which have already been shut down by Obama's orders. Adolf Hitler would have been proud. We're the 21st century Tea Party patriots.
Hi folks, Doug Hagmann here. You might know me as the co-host from the Hagmann and Hagmann Report, or as a frequent guest on Coast to Coast AM with George Norrie. If you're like me, you're tired and confused over today's headlines. You just don't know where to turn for accurate, concise information about really what's going on, what's truly going on in today's society. If you don't know where to turn for accurate, well-researched, and properly vetted news, I've got a suggestion. In fact, it's a requirement. Bookmark Canada Free Press. That's CanadaFreePress.com on the internet. It's just not for Canada. It's for news across the world. Judy McLeod, founding editor, has put together a vast array of talented writers like Kelly O'Connell, Daniel Greenfield, Dr. Eileen Johnson-Powell, a lot of guest columnists, very talented writers. Folks, that's Canada Free Press at CanadaFreePress.com. Now mobile friendly. Follow on Facebook, because without America, there is no free world.
Survival of the fittest. In any and all situations, survival is your #1 priority. That requires being tough and thinking smart. And the folks at Freeze Dry Guy are going to help you do just that. They have the long-range patrol ration entrees, what they call the brick pack. When you're in survival mode, it is absolutely the best item for your survival pack or bug-out bag. You can go farther, faster, and carry more food with the LRP cold weather ration entrees. Not only do these long-lasting, durable entrees help sustain you or your family through the harshest environment or situation, they are by far the most delicious of their kind. No contest. With a variety of tasty entrees, you can't beat the LRP brick packs. Let Freeze Dry Guy help you in your survival situations. Go to freezedryguy.com. That's freezedryguy.com, or call 866-404-3663. That's 866-404-FOOD.
Since the Colorado theater shooting, most of the media has wanted to jump all over the issue of whether or not AR-15 rifles and assault weapons should even be sold to the public. It is the same story every time an incident like this happens. Most of the arguments wind up centered on the Second Amendment. So what was the Second Amendment really about, and what does it protect these kind of weapons? Ben has the reality check you won't see anywhere else.
Immediately following the Colorado theater shooting, the national media had already resigned themselves to pontificating over the Second Amendment and the role of guns in society. Hours after that shooting in Aurora, Colorado, CNN's Piers Morgan asked this question. Quote, "You tell me a good reason why we should not strengthen the law now to stop another young man like him going into a store tomorrow, buying 4 more weapons, 6,000 rounds of ammunition on the internet, and killing and shooting another 70 people in America." Piers is simply pushing a political agenda rather than looking at the facts. I told you last night that national media are ignoring major troubling questions about what happened in Colorado, and we're working on more on that coming up in the next few weeks. But tonight, we're looking at the Second Amendment. I have to warn you, though, because the Second Amendment is very politically incorrect, and the man who helped bring that to light last week, rapper Ice-T.
Yeah, it's legal in the United States. It's part of our Constitution. You know, the right to bear arms is because that's the last form of defense against tyranny, not to hunt.
And the thing is, Ice-T is historically correct. The Second Amendment is fairly simple, stating, quote, "A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, The right of the people to keep and to bear arms shall not be infringed. To be clear, the militia is not regular military. They were farmers and blacksmiths who went about their daily lives. But notice that the amendment says this is for the security of a free state. According to the 1828 dictionary and other historical documents of that day, they refer to a state as an independent nation. The Second Amendment was put in place to remind the newly formed federal or general government that each state's citizenry would be armed and ready to defend themselves should the need arise. Remember, the United States was a plural term. So what you need to know? If people like Piers Morgan want to have a real discussion on the Second Amendment, then it needs to be an honest discussion. The Second Amendment is about tyranny, not about hunting or about sport. And many Americans, frankly, don't like that. It's an uncomfortable idea. Look, you may believe that protecting yourself from government is ludicrous, and yet the ability for citizens to have not just the power to elect and to choose leaders, but also the power to protect themselves violently, if necessary, from tyranny is historically what the founders created. Maybe the reason we aren't having honest debates about guns in this country or the Second Amendment is because we aren't honest about why those guns were allowed in the first place. And that is Reality Check.
If you'd like to make your voice heard on the story, head over to Ben's Facebook page. Find it by searching Ben Swan, WXIX.
Interesting. Interesting. Interesting.
Doug Hagmann. One guy that doesn't need a bullhorn to get your attention.
You want answers. I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the second hour of the Hagmann and Hagmann Report. We are broadcasting through the grace of God. We are here, and I want to say thank you to all of our listeners, all of the people who do record and broadcast, rebroadcast the show. You're free to do so. And I got I'm not sure what that means, Troy. But anyway, I just want to thank everyone that has supported us and are supporting us. We're still struggling at this point. But I'll tell you what, we're going to make it. We're going to make it. And you know, Joe and I were talking today. We're going to be here broadcasting through whatever happens. And if we need to broadcast from some other location, we're going to do that as well. If we need to move around, whatever we need to do to bring you the truth, we're going to do that. So if you want to chime in as well, feel free to do so. Our call-in number is 661-244-9839.
Yeah, and I want to give you guys some news on Pastor Jay. I talked to him Saturday morning. He called me, and I'm going to save most of the story of what he told me for when he gets to where his destination is, and I'm going to let him. He wants to come on the show and explain.
Pastor Jay is the gentleman that's biking his way from
Florida to Kentucky.
Okay. All right.
And basically, the long and short of it is he left with, you know, $40-50 in his pocket and enough water and food to get there. And he shared his food with some homeless people one day under a bridge where it was raining, and they were gathered. And basically, a wonderful story of people. By the time he got done sharing his food that he had on him with the people there, they had about 2 or 3 extra bags of groceries brought by other people, like a work of God almost, he said. And he has those and very much more inspiring stories. He was donated a cell phone, and people have been, you know, giving him money, helping him along, and really good stuff coming from him, what I'm hearing. He his journey, what would seem so difficult, taking a mountain bike and riding 800 miles, has turned into a blessing for him, as he described it to me, and I can't wait to he gets
it's a spiritual journey as well, you know. And I found too that, you know, when I'm down to my last few bucks in my pocket, you know, and you're in church or whatever, and you think, wow, maybe I just ought to let the basket pass this time, and when you do, you know, put a tithe or put, you know, money into the basket, it seems like it seems like you're guided by your belief that God's going to take care of you. And I think that belief, you've got to have a rock solid belief like that. And man, I'll tell you what, it's never let me down. In terms of we've never been without food.
Right.
And sometimes it takes a really big. Boy, I'm getting dizzy from the camera there. Sometimes it takes a really big leap of faith, but nonetheless, it does happen. So God works it all out. But that said, we do want to thank each and every one of you for listening and for spreading the word about the program. Now, again, if you want to call in to join the program, 661-244-9839. That's our phone number. We are taking your calls, and we're going to get to them as they come in.
Yeah, and I want to say something more on the shooting. I mean, if there were people in this church, I know church is not a conventional place to carry weapons.
Temple, yeah.
The temple. This shooter could have been stopped before harming people. Same thing with the theater. People have to understand that this is a time where it's not safe to go out of your house. You don't know what's going to happen, where it's going to happen, when it's going to happen. We need to be prepared for a situation where we're in a restaurant, where we're at a shopping mall, and, somebody could open fire unexpectedly. This is the reality we live in, whether it's government-created or crazy people. Either way, this is the times we live in. And our Constitution allows for us to keep and bear arms and allows us for the protection and self-defense of ourselves and the lives of others as well. We can use force to do so, and we are allowed to have guns. And I think people need to be more responsible in making sure. The responsible people need to be more responsible,
right?
And should probably think about getting a weapon, taking classes, carrying concealed if you can, because getting a license to do so, because people need to be ready for anything to happen at any point, no matter where they are in the world.
I would also take my ticket for, or take the risk of being kicked out for carrying a concealed weapon, legally, of course. If there's a sign that says this establishment's a gun-free zone and I'm carrying a concealed weapon, no one's going to know anyway, unless, there's an incident where, you've got to use your weapon to defend yourself or those around you. So, and at that point, they're going to be thanking you, not saying, boy, you're in trouble, now we're going to kick you out of here. So,
yeah, and
to me, I never pay attention to those signs anyway.
Scott sent me a message in chat, and this is something I saw on Facebook, I think, one of those pictures, and it said, my next door neighbor wants to ban guns. Their house is not armed. Out of respect for their opinions, I promise not to use my guns to protect them. But no, that is, break into their house.
Arrow to their house, yeah.
This is the mentality. These people that want to ban guns have no idea what they're doing. I mean, we just need to look at history. We need to look at the countries who have gun bans in place. We need to look at the cities in America who have gun bans in place.
Well, yeah.
Guam, Emmanuel.
Yeah.
There was more violence in Chicago.
Yeah. More killings in Chicago.
There was a lady this week, maybe yesterday, who shot 7 people on a riverboat in Detroit. There was, in Chicago, I know that there was a home invasion recently where a couple people were shot. I mean, there's constant violence in Chicago, and yet there's a gun ban in place in Chicago.
Yeah, how's that working out for you, Rom?
And there's more murders there than there are in Afghanistan and Iraq, according to the statistics given to us.
Per capita. Detroit, for example, has leads Baghdad in the number of murders
and for
per
those
capita.
Of you who, I'm sure there aren't many listening to our show, who would like to see guns banned, you better think long and hard about that, because you're giving up your right to protect yourself. And once that right is gone, you are even more defenseless than you are now. I mean, when you're giving up your means to protect yourself against, we are a free country. We're not dependent. This is what they've done through welfare, through the education system. Like I said, they've taken away our independence. And part of that independence is self-defense, the ability to be responsible for yourself. I'm going to tell the story on air. I went to the beach on Saturday. We live up here on Lake Erie. We have a park, Presque Isle Park, and I was swimming along with other families were swimming, and me and my wife were there. And we're watching this Coast Guard on a lifeguard on a jet ski come up to people and tell them that they can't swim in this part of the water because there's no lifeguard there. Well, it's always been swim at your own risk if there's no lifeguard on duty.
Right.
So I went out in the water, and sure enough, the guy comes out and. I started hassling about it. He's kind of a young kid, and I say, well, since when can you come around and tell people where they can and can't swim and there needs to be a lifeguard on duty? He said it's a state law. I said, well, what's the law? He couldn't tell me. And I went on to ask him, I said, well, what about people on boats who anchor their boats in the lake and swim out there? What about fishermen who use waders to walk out in the water and go fishing? Do they need lifeguards, you know? Where is this coming from? And the guy couldn't answer me. He just ignored me, and they said it's a state law. So, you know, we just need, and all these people listened to this lifeguard and went onto the shore. Well, I didn't go onto the shore. I didn't get carried off in cuffs either. They just left me alone. People need to start not complying. Civil disobedience. We need to show these people we have the power. These people don't have the power. They think they have the power because we let them have the power, literally, by not doing what we should be doing. And we need to pull the reins of their power back in and give it back to the people.
Yeah, indeed. Excuse me. It is just that. So it's just that simple, and I think that we need to pay close attention over the next couple of days and even the next couple of weeks as to what our leaders are going to be doing with respect to attempts to further curb our rights, because every time look, this incident is going to be exploited like never before, and you know,
yeah, no, it's being used. The Colorado shooting didn't go as planned. For whatever reason, their agenda didn't get enough play as they wanted it to, and now they have to do it again. And I'm telling you, if this does not work, they're going to do something. An executive order, another shooting. Hopefully I'm not correct in either of those, but this is the pattern we see. This is what they do. They create the problem, they manipulate the problem, and then they offer a solution that is only benefiting them in the long run. And they've been doing it, and they're going to continue to do it until we break the cycle. Can we break the cycle? It's not impossible. Do I think we will be able to do it? No. Too many people don't care. It's not that they don't want to understand, or not that they don't understand. It's that they don't want to understand at all. They don't care. And they won't care until it happens to them. It's the normalcy bias we talk about. And it's just...
that's correct.
It's frightening to see so many people don't care about their own lives, let alone their own salvation or their families or kids. You got adults who are too worried about playing video games all day, you know, doing their own thing when their kids are out, doing whatever they're doing without the, you know, protection of their parents being there to shield them and explain to them what's right and wrong. You just have so much wrong. They send them to the public schools, they get re-indoctrinated there, the guns are bad, Obama's good, you know, et cetera. And this is what we're dealing with. I mean, a total nation of, well, I'll say it again, lobotomized zombies are walking around thinking they know what's best for us. And they're the ones making the decisions by brainwashing the masses into, you know, thinking a certain way. And that's why we've gotten to the point where we are now. Individual thought is frowned upon. And you are to get in line or get out of the way, according to the globalist. And we're not going to get out of the way. So
that's right. You're going to have to go through us or around us. Now, meanwhile, I want to report that the Immigration and Customs Enforcement's rank-and-file agents are warning Americans to brace themselves for what is coming. Let me repeat that. The Immigration and Customs Enforcement agents, rank-and-file, are warning Americans to brace themselves for what is coming. And this is in the wake of a memo from this administration, which announced, of course, prosecutorial discretion in dealing with illegal aliens. What's taking place on the southern border and in all the border states basically is a catch and release program. The prosecutorial discretion is such that you catch an illegal alien or an alien in this, or a person in this country illegally, every single agent, according to the information I've got from my sources, are being told to release them. Period. Release them. But hey, they've got 5 DUIs, and you know they're in this country. Release them. Doesn't matter what the circumstances.
Yeah, is this what you're talking about? Was there an illegal alien that just killed like 4 people who was released by the Obama administration? Is that
no. That's not what I was referring to in the issue I talked to you about. But nonetheless, there have been
there was just a recent one that an illegal alien who was part of the Obama release program.
Oh yeah,
just went out and murdered a few people.
Well, you know, and I don't have that particular case in front of me, but yes, okay, that, I'm not sure how recent that is, but right now morale is at an all-time low. ICE agents had voted no confidence on their current director, John Morton. This has been ignored by the press. the ICE agents have twice now voted on no confidence vote for their director. The National ICE Council represents about 7,000 agents and support staff worldwide, and the agents are convinced that this new policy, it gives special preference to illegal aliens who have, figure this out. If you have a relative that served, if this illegal alien has a relative that's in this country legally that served in the military, just because of that condition, you're going to be allowed to escape.
It's the DREAM Act. That's what they passed through. Right. Well, how'd they get that passed? It wasn't through. It was through executive order, wasn't it?
That's correct. Right. The latest, yes, and of course the Amnesty Act back in 1986, which it didn't work.
We have this report here: illegal aliens released by federal government committed 19 murders and 142 sex crimes, while the Obama administration shuts border patrol stations down and loosens U.S. immigration policy. And this is my speaking. I guess the border patrol station shutdowns are only happening when there's illegal immigrants or maybe on the border. Those border patrol station checkpoints are alive and well all across the United States, going after normal Americans. But let me continue on this Blaze report here. The House Judiciary Committee reveals that upwards of 36,000 illegal aliens were cut loose by federal law enforcement between 2006 and 2011. A number of these immigrants went on to commit 19 murders and 142 sex crimes. Now, this is not saying that, all illegal immigrants are bad and violent, but it just goes to show you when you don't take this seriously, and that, Hezbollah has been rumored to be coming up through the southern border, and terrorists, they say, and the cartels have free reign because they have deals with the Justice Department to ship guns down there, and in turn, for information, ship drugs. They're allowed to ship drugs into the United States, given permission by the White House, pretty much, coming down from the top. The Sinaloa drug cartel was one of them.
That's right.
There were 2 informants caught by, I think, local police or FBI, and they were told to release them with like 4 tons of cocaine because they were part of the Department of Justice program. They were called untouchable, and that's just one example of many.
And another bit of interesting news, and I found this quite interesting as well. The White House. What is Obama's stand on the Muslim act of polygamy? Well, now, last month, Jay Carney, the White House spokesman, was asked by WorldNet Daily's reporter he asked Jay Carney about Obama's stance on polygamy, and Carney ignored him, and the WorldNet Daily correspondent persisted, and there was no answer. And the WND correspondent says, how does he stand on polygamy? Could you answer that question? He persisted, and Carney was calling on someone else. So you want to dodge the issue, and so it continued. So that answer was never given. Okay, now we know about polygamy with the Sunni Muslims, and of course it certainly is an okay thing to do. And isn't it interesting that this question is ignored? And I just saw a story too about the White House not having any answers for the last 7 months maybe, or 7 weeks, 7 months. A long time. They have not been answering any of the difficult questions posed to them.
And as I've said many times, Jay Carney is a snake. He was hired just to be that, and that's what he is. He can weasel his way out of any question he wants, and he's good at playing the dumb, innocent kid when need be, and when not, he knows how to talk his way out of a jam sometimes, and sometimes he just looks stupid. But
well, he's just green beyond here. He's just too young to be in that position. Plus, he's an insolent son of a gun. Okay.
And while we have all this gun hysteria, mass shootings going on in the U.S., Washington greenlights American donations to Syrian rebels.
Hey, you want to donate?
Donate to the Hagmann. Donate to Al-Qaeda.
Go to donate to Al-Qaeda.
Good. Probably donation button right on whitehouse.gov, I bet. The U.S. government has permitted its citizens to start donating money to Syria's opposition, paving the way for direct help from U.S. nationals to the Syrian rebel fighters, a.k.a. Al-Qaeda.
I don't.
Article in the chat room.
Help me.
I know. That's how I feel. It is insane. I mean,
I don't get this.
We give the drug cartels the guns. Now we're going to give the Al Qaeda our money, and maybe we should ask them to come live with us after they're done overthrowing Syria. Maybe they can overthrow our government.
Okay, no, wait. Let's one more time. What did you say?
Washington greenlights American donations to Syrian rebels.
Okay,
the U.S. government has permitted its citizens to start donating money to Syria's opposition, a.k.a. Al Qaeda, paving the way for direct help from U.S. nationals to rebel fighters.
Can you
Syrian
imagine that?
Support Group, a Washington-based organization closely connected to rebel forces, or Al Qaeda, so Al Qaeda basically is set up in the White House in Washington, has been granted a license by the U.S. Treasury Department to begin fundraising on behalf of the opposition.
Well, we got the Muslim Brotherhood here raising money. We got the IIIT, the International Islamic Institute of Thought.
And this group, the Syrian Support Group, already labeled this as a game changer. They think
nice.
I mean,
beautiful.
How many Americans are going to give their money to Al Qaeda? We should follow this. And
well, we are, I thought.
The group wouldn't reveal the amount of money it raised since the license was granted in late July, so about a week.
Wow.
Last week, the U.S. boasted its so-called non-lethal aid to rebels increased funding by $12 million and bringing the total sum spent on humanitarian aid to $76 million.
Humanitarian aid.
Yeah, it's humanitarian aid. It's the $76 million spent of our money killing people in foreign countries. That's what they call humanitarian aid.
Well, let's see if we can get some sense into the program here. Let's go to the phones. Let's go to the 256 area code. 256 area code, you're on with Doug and Joe.
Jesus saves. Jesus saves. How's everybody doing?
Good. Jesus saves.
Pastor Jay.
Pastor.
That's right. It's Pastor Jay. I'm on the road. I'm 100 miles away from my destination.
Wow. That's great.
I'll be there in about 3 days. I figured I finally wound up getting the cell phone charged up. I charged it up at a Walmart, and I figured I'd call into the show.
Well,
Pastor Jay,
we were just talking
I opened up the second hour talking a little bit about some of the things you've gone through on your journey.
It's been amazing.
Yeah, why don't you, we're just going to let you loose here. Why don't you tell everybody some of the inspirational and maybe not so inspirational parts of your journey?
Well, basically the not so inspirational parts of the journey was coming out of Fort Myers. Between Fort Myers and Tampa was like about 100 miles of nothing but swampland and nowhere to camp. So that was kind of unfortunate. Right, that was probably the only downer. It was just me and the mosquitoes there for about 2 days. And other than that, everything's been going great. Everything's been blessed. I've met nothing but good people. I can tell you for a fact, I've been administering to the homeless on the way up. I've been preaching to them on the way up. You know, I used to preach on the street down there in Fort Myers, basically on an old milk crate or a park bench. So now I'm just preaching to the homeless as I go up through. And it's one blessing after another.
Wow.
It's awesome.
Pastor Jay,
check this out. I can tell you for a fact that there is a profound, and I mean a profound, knowledge of God in the land. Every single person that I have come in contact with has been a Christian, has been a believer, has wanted to be saved, has asked me to anoint them. I've anointed over a dozen people, right, in the name of Jesus, and it's just been spectacular.
Wow.
Pastor Jay, you told me a story on Saturday morning about a rainstorm you went through in Florida underneath a bridge.
Oh, yeah.
Can you share that?
Yeah, sure, I can. I was coming up US 41 up to Lake City in Florida, up there on the top of the state, and I was planning on getting on 90 to cut across the state. That way I didn't have to go through Atlanta and Columbus and all that messed up territory. I was just trying to avoid Georgia altogether. So, at least that's what I was told. Everybody I asked about it, 100 out of 100 people told me don't go to Atlanta. So I took their advice, and fortunately, it's been a blessed trip. No problems, no injuries, something like that. Well, I come into Lake City. I wound up, I got a bite to eat at McDonald's, and next thing you know, it starts raining. It's raining cats and dogs. It's like a monsoon. I thought I was going to have to stop at Walmart, get myself a life preserver or a kayak.
Arm floats.
It was coming down crazy. So I look up ahead, and I see the intersection of 75 and 90. There's a big bypass there. And I'm like, okay, I'll shoot for that, you know, because it looked a little dry under there. So I get underneath there, and I'm underneath the bridge. Now, there's 4 lanes of traffic, 2 going one way, 2 going the other, 2 overhead, you know what I mean, 4 overhead. There's cars screaming by, you know, 55, 65 mile an hour, bumper to bumper. It's noisy, it's loud, it's dirty, right? I come in there, and there's a couple of homeless people in there. Well, I stopped. I figured I'd wait out the rain there. And basically, I got to talking to them, found out that they were all 3 of them were Christians at the time, you know, that were there. They were all wearing crosses and crucifixes, and basically they got to talking to them because it was either talk to them or, you know, try to swim down through the traffic, you know, with the mountain bike. So I decided to hang out there for a while, and basically I got to talking to them, and most of them had, you know, college degrees. You know, so one guy had like 3 college degrees. Just couldn't find any work in engineering. Unemployment's that bad down there in Florida. And they had asked me if I had anything to eat, and I said because they hadn't eaten anything. They looked, you know, kind of famished, and you know, it looked like the one guy looked like he was from like a refugee camp from World War II. I mean, he was all famished out like that. Looked really, really rough, like he was starving. Well, I had some ramen noodles and some Vienna sausages and stuff like that with me, so I pulled it all out and I decided to share it. So I'm like, okay, no problem. So one guy calls this guy calls the other guy across the street, and all these people start coming over. Next thing you know, there's all these cars screaming by, and now there's like a mob of homeless people underneath this bridge. There's like 20 people here now. It's me and 20 people.
And you're feeding them, right?
Well, it started off with just the ramen noodles and stuff like that, and it's just, you know, just basic stuff. I mean, I gave what I had, you know, which was basically next to nothing, because I was going to resupply like at the next Walmart or something I came up to. And the gentleman with a crucifix asked me to bless his cross. And I'm like, okay, no problem, I can do that. So I wound up, I pulled out the anointing. I had anointing oil and holy water with me. I took a long run with my King James Version Bible. Now I was good to go. I'm always prepared. So I anoint the man's cross. I put the mark of Jesus on his forehead. I anoint his forehead with the anointing oil. And he'd asked me about, you know, it would be nice if, you know, him and his friends could get something to eat. I'm like, okay, well, I'll pray for that. So I basically pulled out a cap full of holy water, and as I was praying, I poured the holy water over this man's cross. And I prayed that each and every single one of these people, and there were like 20 people here now, counting myself, you know, would go to bed that night with a full belly and no worries, okay? Sounds, you know, crazy. It's pouring down rain. I mean, it's raining so hard you could barely see across the street. Cars flying in all directions.
Not the best of circumstances there. Okay, go on.
Yeah, it was horrible. Next thing you know, one guy across the street comes running over. He brings a bag. Next thing you know, all these cars start stopping, and they're handing out food. Right? This is like 10 minutes after I prayed. This one lady brings down a lasagna pan size, like one of them big, huge disposable pans of lasagna. You know what I'm talking about? You get them at Family Dollar for like $3, a big deep trays. Brings a huge pan of chicken and dumplings.
My.
It's fresh out of the oven. It's still steaming. I could barely hold on. You know, they could barely hold on to this thing.
Did you have a sign up that asked for like lasagna or chicken and dumplings or something? Or what?
It was full of chicken and dumplings. Here her husband had come home and brought pizza home. They decided to eat the pizza instead of the chicken and dumplings. And I got to talking to the woman, and the woman said it was, you know, not too long ago, a short while ago, because she'd only lived like 2 blocks from where we were at, that something had told her to put the pan of chicken and dumplings in a car, drive down the road, and give it to the first group of homeless people that she encountered, and which just happened to be us. I mean, it was a miracle.
Wow.
We had more food there at the end, right? When all these people dropped everything off, you could have filled the back of a Jeep Grand Cherokee from floor to ceiling with everything that was there. Everybody left stuff. We had a banquet in the pouring down rain with the cars flying by, and it was awesome. Then we even held a church service. I even held a church service right there underneath the bridge. We were all, you know, all in prayer, right around. I mean, it was spectacular. That's just one of the highlights.
Yeah,
wow.
That when you told me that story, I couldn't believe it.
That's
amazing. It was very uplifting.
Yeah, exactly. It's been nothing but uplifting, and the generosity I have found of the people. Right? I mean, normally when you're driving, you know, like from one destination to another, you're driving at like 70, 65 miles an hour, and you just don't see everything. You know, basically one of the lessons that I have learned is you got to slow down and look. And if you slow down, right, and look around, you can see miracles happening each and every moment of each and every day. And I can attest to that because I've seen them, I've witnessed them, and I've lived through them.
Wow.
And it's been prophetic. I keep it in a journal. I got like 75 pages of notes. I got 3 or 4 more days to go. I mean, there's been some prophetic stuff going on.
That's
but
fantastic.
I can definitely attest that God is definitely not dead in the United States. There is a profound knowledge of God in this land, and I can attest to that through all the hundreds and hundreds of people that I have met.
Praise God for that.
In places that I have never been before, people that I've never met before. You know, I don't believe in chance. I believe everything happens for a reason, and it's all part of God's plan. And it's just crazy. And if you just take the time to step back and take a look and just watch, you will see miracles happen each and every day. And that's basically what I've learned. That's what the Lord's been teaching me. He's teaching me to step back, check things out, watch Him work. And another thing that I've learned, it's like when you have like works in the Lord. Like some people have like a big work would be like opening an orphanage or a soup kitchen or something to that extent, something big like that, right? Big works are okay. But what I found out so far in my journey over the last 22 days on the road, just solo, not solo, it's me and the Lord.
Right.
When I get tired of driving the bike, Jesus takes over and I ride in the back. That's basically what happens. Yeah, when I get tired, He pedals.
Well, we're praying for you, we're pulling for you, and anything we can do, you've got a direct line to us, and we'll if you get jammed up, we'll help you out.
I definitely want to make sure I get out there across the airways. If it's okay with you guys, right?
Sure.
It's as far as the works of the Lord, it is the tiniest of works that mean the most. I mean, money can buy like an orphanage, this, that, or whatever, but money can't buy kindness. Money can't buy that. That kindness has to come from the heart. And when you perform like a small act of kindness, like what I did starting out there underneath the bridge, the 3 people, I had enough food for like 1, and it almost reminded me of when Jesus fed the masses with a couple loaves of bread and a few fish. It was similar to that. But it was just, it wasn't, bread and fish. It was canned raviolis and ramen noodles and cookies and pretzels and everything else you get from a grocery store. But it's the little act of kindness. If you show a small act of kindness to a total stranger, it's like throwing a rock in a pond, okay? You get the ripples that come out from that, right? Everybody knows what I'm talking about. Well, what happens when those ripples hit the bank? They turn back and they come back, right? The ripples go out, they spread out, they hit the bank, they bounce off the bank, and then they come back. It's the same thing with the small works. When you show a small act of kindness to someone, that spreads out, and it comes back to you tenfold. I can attest to that. I've had people invite me into their dinner, people I've never met before. I've had people bring me coffee in the morning, piping hot coffee. They never met me before, but they saw me camping. They bring coffee down, bring food. Take me out to lunch. One guy gave me a ride for 100 miles for no particular reason. I had the cell phone that I'm calling you guys on right now was donated to me, and basically, as of yesterday, I had more money in my pocket yesterday than the day I left. So they've been giving me donations too all along the way up, asking me if I need anything.
Praise God.
It's just been amazing. It's like the good book says, you have not because you ask not. Well, believe me, I've been asking.
I'll tell you, it's great to hear from you. It really is, and you're a friend of the program, folks. You know this gentleman, and Joe. You know, you've been in contact.
Yeah, I want to say a shout out, hello there to Chrissy, Shirley, and everybody else that was that's a member of my forums page.
I got to say, they're all saying hi to you, Pastor Jay. They wanted me to definitely get the message across that they said hello and they miss you, and they're glad to hear you are doing good, and they can't wait till you're back.
It won't be long.
That's good. And you know, it's great to hear from you. Great to hear these positive, inspirational, uplifting stories, and the fact that God is alive and among us and working these miracles. And I'll tell you what, amid all this crazy bad news we get.
Exactly. Amid all the craziness, amid all the turmoil, amid all the negativity, the negative reporting you see on mainstream TV, basically all the treachery and junk going on like that. It's basically because I think society is just moving too fast. That's why they can't see the forest for the tree. Now they're just moving too fast. If they take the time to look, there's actually more good going on than there is evil.
Yeah.
Because I see it every day. I haven't seen a single evil act my entire trip.
But see, at your level, at the level we're at, generally we don't see the evil that's going on at the higher echelon, the true evil, the viciousness, the vile nature.
Granted, there is viciousness. I mean, you have to be mental or something not to believe that. But I mean, there's a lot of crazy stuff going on out there, but at the same time, there's a lot of good going on.
Oh, no, indeed there is, Pastor.
And in the chat room, Debbie says people really underestimate who we are and underestimate, people. And we were talking about this, Pastor Jay, how we don't know what we can do until we put ourselves to the test, and how easy it is after, and how hard we get forward.
It's not putting yourself to the test. All right, that's I wouldn't word it like that. It's putting your faith to the test.
That's
right?
true.
That mustard seed of faith can move mountains. All right. I mean, hey, I'm 43 years old right now. I'm going to be 44 the 27th of this month. I'm just an average guy. I'm in decent shape. I didn't just wake up one day and decide, hey, I'm going to go mountain biking for 1,000 miles across the country with no problems. I mean, it's through faith in the Lord that I have gone this far. I've gone over 900 miles, injury-free, no aches, no pains. I've eaten well. I'm not sick. I've seen nothing but good works. I've learned an awful lot, and it's all through faith.
Amen, Pastor Jay.
A mustard seed.
And when you get to your destination, we want to have you come on the show, and when you put your
my PC isn't there yet. My laptop isn't there yet. It hasn't been shipped yet.
Okay.
I might have to borrow somebody else's laptop to get on, but I'll see what I can do.
Yeah, I just saw in the chat room a little bit ago they were talking about your laptop did not make it yet, but apparently it's supposed to be coming. So.
Okay, that must be David or Kevin then.
Yeah, I can't tell you who. I saw it at the beginning of the show because we were chatting about it. Somebody asked about you, and I saw that it said the PC didn't get there yet, but hopefully it does get there. We want to have you back on the show so you can tell us, put together the fine points of your trip, the low points, what people need to know, what you got out of your trip, your journey with the Lord, from Florida to Kentucky. Totally free out there with you and the Lord. It's got to be amazing, Pastor Jay, and from what you told us, it has been.
It is truly amazing, and like I said, the notes I keep writing down, they keep piling up. I have all the facts of the story that I just told you guys about, the prayer service under the bridge. That's in there. That's just one. I mean, I was on rescue missions. I saved a puppy out in the middle of a 4-lane highway. Stopped traffic. I mean, it was insane. I just prayed for the armor of God. I walked out into traffic. Just walk out in the traffic. I stopped cars, man. I mean, they stopped dead in their tracks. I rescued this poor dog off the street.
Unbelievable.
Well, thanks, Pastor Jay. We're going to let you go.
I don't want you guys up too long. I've got limited minutes. I'll try to call in again tomorrow night, or maybe the night after. Give you guys a progress report because I only got like 100 minutes left.
Yeah, well,
definitely keep us updated, Pastor Jay, and let us know if you need anything.
Yeah,
and,
certainly we can get your phone refilled if nothing else.
I even came up with another idea. Because I have, on the back of my bike, it's painted blood red. It's painted red, it's for the blood of Jesus, That's why it's painted red. And on the back of the bike, on one side of my bike, there's an I put an advertisement on there for the Hagmann and Hagmann report. On the other side of the bike, it says paulbegleyprophecy.com. Guess what it says on the tail end of my bike? Any guesses?
You told me, so I can't guess.
Saves. Jesus saves. That's what it says.
Amen.
Oh my goodness!
I'm surprised he hasn't been arrested for having those websites on the side of his bike like that. But
that's great. That's great to know.
But it's been great. I've been telling people about y'all's show, about Pastor Paul's show. I hope y'all are getting some extra listeners in there because I'm meeting hundreds and hundreds of people out here.
I'll tell you,
it's
something
been great.
On. There's something going on. You must be doing a good job because there's something.
I even came up with another idea. Right, for when I get up there, it's like if I can't find work, you can't go to the mountain. You got to bring the mountain to you, right? So I think I might open up a new store chain called Jesus Saves Mountain Biking, something like that.
There you go. You just keep sucking in them ideas, Pastor Jay. And
yeah, I'm working on it.
All right. Well, God bless you. Stay safe.
When I get all these notes together, I'm probably going to have to hook up with Pastor Paul and try to figure out how to get something published because I have no idea how to do that. I've been writing like crazy, but I have no idea how to get published.
Wow. Well, we can.
When I put this together and I compile it, I'll send some free copies. You guys, the people that I know out there, all the ones that support me that supported me on this trip, everybody's going to get a free signed copy. When I get it done.
Great. That's great.
And you do have a forum. It's Pastor J Word of Truth Forum. It's just search the Word of Truth Forum, and you can go on there. There's all kinds of information from government reports to breaking news, and I have not been keeping up on breaking news and putting it in there.
I haven't been able to update it either. So I don't feel bad.
Yeah, I wonder why.
Well, we'll work on that in the next few days.
Update it from the bush. There's no outlets in the bush.
Yeah.
Believe me, if I could have plugged my laptop into a cypress tree or a maple tree or a pine tree, I would have brought it along with me.
Well, thanks, Pastor Jay, for calling. God bless you.
Okay, God bless. You guys have a great night. Okay, and my closing words, just remember, there is a profound and a prophetic and a spectacular, unbelievable, words can't even describe it, knowledge of God in America. God is not dead in this country. He is alive and well and performing miracles every day. All right?
Wow.
I can attest that, and no one on this planet can tell me otherwise because I've seen it.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Well, thanks, Pastor Jay.
God bless you, my friend. You take care.
There's hope out there. God bless. God bless. I got to get something to eat. I think I put a little too much sugar in my coffee tonight, so I'm rambling on here. Right?
Well, you stay safe, Pastor. We'll talk to you later.
Okay, all right.
We'll
all right,
catch you later.
God bless everyone. God bless. Remember,
Good night.
Jesus saves. Jesus saves. Got to go.
Good night. Good night, my friend.
Oh, what a great call. Thanks, Pastor Jay. No, you can't hear us now, but
it's interesting how that, wow, just it's interesting.
No, I'm so glad he called in and somebody said his ears were ringing when we were talking about him. Obviously, he doesn't have a computer. He wasn't listening via phone, and I didn't even see his number in the switchboard. You answered the call.
Yeah.
I only saw his number once when he called Saturday. That was pretty weird.
It's
It's interesting.
In the midst of all the insanity, in the midst of the shooting, in the midst of the Middle East war coming, in the midst of the TSA, the DHS, the Army vehicles on American streets. God, it's great to get a call like that.
Yeah,
okay, let's just take it for
all
what it's worth.
Toxic news and emotional stuff we're covering that makes you angry and frustrated to hear what's going on. Getting a call like that, like waking up. I think it was either Saturday or Sunday morning at like 7 in the morning to that call, and I talked to him for maybe half hour, an hour. It was awesome, and like I said, it was very inspirational, and I'm happy he called in tonight and got that through.
All right. I don't want to ignore anyone on the phone lines if we have anyone staying there. Let's go take a quick look here if there anyone else wants to join the program. We do have one more call. That's new, right?
I'm not sure.
All right, we're going to try this anyway. Caller from the 702 area code. You're on with Doug and Joe.
Hey guys, how y'all doing?
Terrific.
Marco again. I called you before, but I wanted to give you an update on some stuff I found out. On the weekends I usually go and try to spread the word of about Jesus and about Steve Quayle's website and Daniel's timeline and all that. And I was talking to my wife's niece, and she's not very very much into all this, so I was giving her information on this, and she was telling me she had a dream or in her night that somebody, or she don't know what it was, but I think it was an angel of the Lord telling her in the dream that be ready because stuff's coming, in the near future and very soon. And she had this dream at her house, and it was in her house that she said that black vans and trucks were coming and telling people, get in the trucks, we got to take you to our camps because it's unsafe on the streets.
Really?
She was saying that this lady was telling her in the dream, don't go in the black trucks or vans because you won't come out alive out of those camps because the food is poisoned. And they told her, she even told me that they told her in the dream that the lady that was speaking to her in the dream where to go, and she showed me. It was kind of like a hidden room in her house, and she said she's been putting food there and that. And she said that they told her that people's going to die because the food they're going to feed them, and they're going to start some kind of action where everybody's got to go there, which sounds a lot like what you guys have been saying and Mr. Quayle about how they're saying that that the only safe place to go is to the camps because they'll say, well, we can't, there's so much anarchy, we can't take care of you, so come to the camps where it's safe.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah. But I'll tell you, I noticed all this stuff, and I went to see Batman because I figured there was a lot of messages in it, and all I saw throughout the movie when I saw it seemed like it was all talking about martial law, civil unrest, about how, take from the the people that stole from you, the country let you down, and I just saw, that's all I saw was Civil War themed ideology on that movie.
Predictive programming, I think it's called.
Yeah. And my father in the beginning of the spring said it was going to be a hot summer or not because of the temperatures, and we are certainly seeing things heating up on that front. The economy is not looking good as QE3 will start. These mass shootings that occur, so close to each other, never before seen in our country, really. The unrest of the people, the tension of overtaxation for some and lack of food for others. There's just so much going on in our country, and it's not going to get any better, and that's what makes it so much worse.
Now, the person who had this dream, tell me again your relationship to her, or
yep, she's my wife's niece.
Okay, all right.
And she's 30 years old. She's got 2 children. Real nice person. I went to see her and her mom to deliver some stuff to her when we was talking about, because I'm trying to tell everyone in my family and my wife's family about what's coming. And these people don't have computers, so they don't know anything. They just, this lady was saying, oh, I had this dream, and it's kind of weird because it goes and, talks about something, because I was telling about how, they need to go to some of the different websites.
Right.
And about Dimitri Duduman's dreams and visions.
Right.
He's like, well, that's weird because I had a dream where this lady was telling me all this stuff about the black vans and trucks, and don't get them no matter what because you won't come out alive. And I said, well, that coincides with all the stuff I've been hearing everywhere else.
Yeah, there's a lot of people having dreams. There's a lot of people having visions, similar to what you're describing.
We've been talking to the dialogue with Rick Wiles, and the number of people who have told him and told us about their dreams about the very same kind of or similar circumstances of this stuff happening. It's I believe that we're being told, hey, look, I don't dismiss any of this. I think it's we're being warned, and we need to pay attention.
Something else I wanted to let you know, because I remember you said earlier at the beginning of the show, and I had to leave, but I heard at the beginning of the show where you said that people's hearing noises and sounds. Well,
Right.
at 3 o'clock in the morning, my wife wakes me up sometimes and says, "Do you hear this?" And I'm like, the first few times, I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about, but it sounds like, you know, when you get a hearing test and they do those little audible sounds like,
Yeah.
That's what we hear at 3 o'clock in the morning every night, and I don't have anything plugged in or on. So I purposely try to think, and you can hear it. It's like, what is that? But I don't know what it is, but I'm wondering if it's something they're broadcasting to kind of mess with people, or they're, who knows?
Well, I don't know. I do know that it angers my dog to no end. I'll tell you that. But that said, I know there's very low frequency waves being noises being conducted or being done over the airwaves. I'm not sure to what end, but who knows? But
have you heard any more news about giants or anything like that? Because I keep trying to, I keep hearing tidbits here and there from different websites where they're talking about, the biblical giants. They ain't really talking about like what Mr. Quayle's talking about in modern times, but there's a lot of evidence that people's finding that they did exist in the past.
Well, I'm going to be talking to Steve after the show. I'm going to get, and I think I might have mentioned this to you before. I failed to ask him before, but I want to ask him more if he's heard anything more about on his end. So we'll have an answer for you. I'll report back to you, or I'll report back to the audience tomorrow. That's for sure.
Anything else before we let you go, Marco?
Yeah,
No, but I really appreciate you guys, and I'm trying to spread the word as well, and I'm telling everybody I can about you guys and Steve Quayle and Alex+Jones and Daniel's timeline, and I'm telling everybody everything I can find about, on everything.
Right.
Dimitri Duden's dream, Henry Gruber's dream of the attack on America. I've got old tapes that I've had since early 90s. And I never thought it was possible that could happen because we were doing so well in the 90s, the country was. But now it's like wow, you can see it.
Someone to listen to from the 90s, I don't know, you might probably already have some of his stuff, is Bill Cooper. He has a lot of good things. Yeah.
Interesting man.
He died in October 2001 after predicting that Osama bin Laden would be blamed for a terrorist attack back in June of 2001. I suggest anybody who hasn't listen to Bill Cooper, go look up his stuff. He was right on the money with the New Age religion and all the stuff coming to fruition.
Yeah.
Right. Hey, is there any way you guys would know how we can get early tapes? Because I know Mr. Quayle's been on the radio for a long time, but I can't find anything past more than 2 or 3 years.
I don't know if there's anything that he's got. I'll ask him as well, because I know that he hosted the Q Files for a long time. And in fact, I subbed for him back 2004, 2005, in that time period on the Q File. So I'm not sure. I'll have to ask him.
I'm trying to find the old ones where he was on Art Bell because, it's just I'm just fascinated because I know he's got so much information. I almost feel like he should be on every night on something or get back his own show and spread the word because.
Well, we're going to keep having him on. I mean, he's going to be a regular on our show. We talked, and he doesn't want to have. He said we're going to be the only show that he's going to really do on a regular basis. So God bless him for that. And I'll talk to him tonight. I'll ask him, if he can come on sometime this week. So we'll keep doing it.
All right, I appreciate it, guys, and you guys are doing a good job. And I tell everybody I know, and people that I know, I say, the main thing, we got to keep our mind focused on God and trying to do the right thing because, we know what's coming. We can't stop it, but, we got to keep going forward on all this.
Indeed. Well, thank you, sir. God bless you and stay safe, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Thanks, Marco, for your call.
All right. We got about 2 minutes left here. You want to do somebody in?
Yeah, I don't know about calls, but I'm going to just run through these 2 articles real quick. One thing, there's a volcano erupting. The Tongariro erupts. This is, why don't I find out where this was before I said it. The Tongariro volcano on the northern, that's where it, I don't know. The Tongariro, Tongariro erupts threat warning issued. Also, Gibson Guitars hit with a $300,000 fine by the Justice Department, and this was all over about wood being packaged illegally. Gibson Guitars, an advocate of gun rights, of the Constitution, anti-Obama administration, they were unnecessarily taken out by international law by the Department of Justice. It is all a big fraud, and now they're being hit with a $300,000 fine for using wood that is shipped all over the country to different places in American businesses, but this business was picked out for some reason. Wonder why. Didn't like Obama and was public about it, but we're going to talk more about that probably tomorrow.
Yeah, there's a huge undercurrent about that Gibson guitar.
Also, Death from Above Navy drone logo features Grim Reaper, and this is serious because this goes to the talk about even in our own military. I'll post the article there. That's from the Intel Hub. The Death from Above Navy drone logo features Grim Reaper.
Yeah.
And look at the picture. I mean, it's just as sick as it sounds.
It's incredible. But ladies and gentlemen, we want to thank you very much. It was kind of an interesting show. We had heard from Pastor Jay, which was nice, kind of a nice break.
Yeah.
And in the news. But more, we're going to be back more tomorrow with some more news.
New Zealand is where that volcano is. Thanks, Eric.
Okay.
And we covered a lot tonight, but we have a whole bunch more we didn't get to, so look for that tomorrow night and much more. Thank you.